1 week ago, 2 Texas police officers went to answer a domestic violence call and were shot down in cold blood. One of those murdered officers, 39-year-old Ismael Chavez, had been with the police only 2.5 years. Prior to that, he was a high school science teacher and a football coach for kids. A man who had spent his entire life helping his community and serving others, murdered. His daughter, Savannah Chavez, is only 18. She posted a memorial to her father on social media last week. "Words cannot describe the pain I'm in," she wrote. "But I'm glad my dad is at peace. I'm going to miss you so much. You died doing what you loved most. You died a hero. I love you, Daddy. See you soon." If we lived in a sane world rather than a cesspit of twisted lies and social media hatred, that would have been that. Maybe some nice comments afterwards. But alas, what followed, thanks to the indoctrination of our youth by the neo-Marxist left, was some of the most sickening bile you will ever see. Within minutes, an army of trolls, many of them clearly supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement or the insidious Antifa, started posting messages in reply to her memorial tweet. Messages of hate. "One cop down, many more to go," one grub wrote. Or "Boo-hoo, cry about it anyway, ACAB guys," another lowlife wrote. ACAB is the social media abbreviation for all cops are bastards. Others mocked Savannah, gloating that her father is now a good cop because he's dead. But that was just the relatively polite stuff. Within hours, the social media attacks got truly depraved. I'm not going to dignify the repulsive comments other than to say that hatred and poison fueled by the so-called anti-racist, anti-police movement is truly sickening. Daniel Lukowski, the security expert who runs the excellent firm Calamity, we had him on the show last year, you'll remember, he alerted me to this story. Unfortunately, Daniel waded through the tweets so that you and I do not have to. And he soon discovered plenty of these repellent tweets were indeed from genuine supporters of Black Lives Matter. Not really a surprise. As Dr. Manfred Gernsfeld, from the BISA Centre, wrote this week, the Black Lives Matter movement is a revolutionary Marxist, extreme left, anti-white, anti-capitalist and anti-Semitic organisation, and it is also unapologetically racist. Now, increasingly, we live in a kind of lefty through the looking glass, topsy-turvy world where common sense, reason and logic are twisted beyond recognition. Morality, too. Good is bad, hate is love. It's the wacko logic that claims that to say all lives matter, surely the most fundamental and inarguable statement about humanity, to say that is somehow evil and racist. Indeed, there are people today being cancelled, losing their jobs, being silenced, having their careers and their reputations destroyed, one woman even being shot simply for saying all lives matter. Go figure. Well, in the same inversion of logic, it suddenly became the grieving daughter, Savannah, who was to blame for the sick and repulsive abuse she was receiving. "This was not the right time to post this," said one idiot. "Read the room," said another. "Why would she post this at a time like this and think she wouldn't get eaten the F up?" Whatever that means. So let's get this straight. Lefty logic. Mourning the death of your father, murdered in cold blood, is somehow insensitive to those who wish to go around looting buildings and tearing down statues. OK, got it. But it gets even worse. The 911 call that Officer Chavez and his partner were responding to was, as I said, a domestic violence incident. The 2 police officers had been called by the terrified wife of the gunman. 2 police officers were shot in cold blood, and the only reason that that woman is alive is because of their sacrifice. Not that the activists could care less, but Savannah is not alone in experiencing the racist hatred of Black Lives Matter supporters. Jessica Whittaker was a young mother who was shot dead for saying all lives matter to a group of Black Lives Matter supporters at 4th of July celebrations where she was with her fiancé and 2 friends. The incident received scant media attention and the press only deigned to cover it after alleging that one of her friends had used the N-word, as if that justified her being murdered. But as with Savannah's dad, activists flooded a Facebook page to celebrate Jessica's murder. Now, this is evil, pure and simple, but it is learned evil. It comes from the woke classrooms and neo-Marxist tutorials of our universities, a sick inversion of Martin Luther King, where activists now peddle bizarre racial theories, such as this lunatic, a well-known American celebrity, who thinks skin pigmentation causes compassion.
They have the lack of compassion that melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul that we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us.
Right.
So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less.
OK, so no compassion. Sorry, folks. Then there was the awful tragedy last Saturday of one-year-old Davel Gardner Jr., who was shot dead in his stroller in the streets of New York. Those same streets where police are being defunded at the behest of Black Lives Matter and their followers. Here's Davel's grandmother.
Everybody talk about Black Lives Matter. What about baby lives? What about teenager lives? Like, you took an innocent child from a mother and a father.
So do black lives, or indeed any lives, really matter to the neo-Marxist racists of the postmodern left? The evidence suggests not. They're merely cannon fodder in an ideological war against the precious institutions of the West, the family, education, law and order, and Judeo-Christian morality. This week in Sydney, I saw a child's drawing proudly displayed outside some terrace house. It looked like a school project, and the drawing was of a black person with the letters BLM there and something about blacks all being murdered. Teachers or parents are brainwashing our kids with this garbage. It's pernicious and it's a disgusting lie, but it is the narrative successfully being pushed by the hard left in order to bring about the collapse of our democratic society and to turn reason and logic on their heads. And I say to all those woke corporations and teachers, weak-kneed politicians and sports people dropping down on one knee as if in prayer or submission to an ideology filled with hatred for our democratic way of life, self-indulgent parents and others clamouring to mouth the platitudes of the Black Lives Matter movement and teaching our children to do the same. Be warned, you fools are playing footsies with a diabolical and deadly foe. Don't take my word for it.
And you do not have a right to dishonor George Floyd's legacy by using his wrongful death as an excuse to justify your criminal behaviors, and then have the gall to turn around and use convoluted circular reasoning to try to blame white people or police for this chaos when it was you who made the conscious decision to destroy your own communities in the first place. But I have a right to say I see right through you, and I know this stopped being about George Floyd a long time ago. I have a right to say your conduct is absolute trash. And I have a right to call you out for the warped, hateful, animalistic, shameful, thuggish, self-serving, rabid, exploitative, counterproductive hypocrites that you are. So I will. I'm Nemani Felder, and that was absolutely nothing but common sense.